Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 195th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every single week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we're discussing 10 life lessons from childhood shows. Super fun. But before we dive deep, a couple of things to go over. First, have you downloaded this episode on WokeNFree.com through the Podbean app? If not, please do. It's A, how you show your number one support, and B, how you join the conversation. And every single week, we want to have a conversation with you. So make sure you're doing that. And if for some reason you're unable to do that, just go to WokeNFree.com and go on the Listen tab to pick your platform of choice where you, even if you can't download the episode, you can at least subscribe and follow WokeNFree on whatever platforms you're catching this on. So we get a ton of love on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, of course. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have episodes on SoundCloud. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Pandora. We're on Spotify. We're everywhere. It's a WokeNFree world, guys. So make sure you are tuning in on any of those platforms and you're subscribed and followed. Now, of course, you can also subscribe to the show on WokeNFree.com via email. And what's really great about that is you'll get weekly email notifications of new episodes, which will prompt you, if you're not already catching every WokeNFree Wednesday episode, to listen to the episode and then share that out with friends and family, because if you're WokeNFree, your friends and family should be too. Now, of course, you can always holler at us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And then, of course, if you have 90 seconds, what can you do? A ton of things. But what we'd love for you to do is review the show on, again, any of the platforms you can review shows on. So WokeNFree.com, Listen tab, pick your platform where you can give us reviews. We get a lot of 5-star reviews on iTunes. I think we'd love a bit more, and all the other places that you can review the show at. Scene end.
Good job.
Grazie.
Before we start this conversation, let's share a little bit about ourselves. Last time we asked, would you rather fight the superhero, Captain America, or fight the villain, the Joker? This week we're asking, would you rather never speak to your family again or never get married? That
is such a really interesting question because you know how salty I can get with family. So for me, though, I would say I'm a little bit torn here because I necessarily believe in the institution of marriage. I don't think unanimously for all people. I do think that marriage doesn't work for everyone. For me, it does work because I like, there are conservative parts of my personality and what I like, and I love consistency. And I think marriage delivers a level of consistency and reliability and commitment that I really enjoy and I thrive on. So I would not want to ever give that up in my life. So I guess I'd have to say goodbye to the former over the latter. And you?
So you're choosing not to speak to the family and then getting married?
Unfortunately, yeah. I love that you had to reharp that, but yes.
I just wanted to make sure we got down to what the choice was.
Correct.
All right, that's good to know.
¿Y tú?
I wouldn't want to cut anybody off indefinitely, but it would be hard to give up the financial privileges of being married. So I actually think I would give up being married and just do a domestic partnership instead.
Pleasant.
Because it's got the same perks as being married, at least here in the U.S. What's there to lose?
And you're also sharing your inner, deeper thoughts here. So that's...
Oh, really? No, it's not inner, deeper thoughts. Yes, but to cut yourself off from people just seems like not really good. Because you could get into sticky situations. Like you're about to close a deal, but your family member was there, so you couldn't talk to them. And then the deal, it all fell apart now.
I think you're full of it. Keep it moving.
You think I'm full of it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lesson for you to be learn from that. Don't you think?
Maybe.
All right.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. That was one of the lessons, but are there other lessons that we may have learned earlier?
Yes, nice transition. So for us, specifically this week, we're talking about 10 life lessons learned from childhood shows. And with that, I'll give you the top 5, your top 5, and then I'll go and share mine.
All right. I'll go through mine then. Now, these is no particular order, but I'll start with Dragon Ball Z.
Classic.
And that's an anime set in the future where villains try to conquer Earth, but a group of superhumans that can fly and shoot energy balls defend the planet from these enemies. Just to give a little synopsis.
Okay. And so what's the lesson?
If you haven't even heard of this show. The lesson that I learned, it actually comes from the character Goku, where he says, where there's a will, there's a way. And I know that phrase has been said before,
Correct.
But
yes.
at least in this cartoon or anime, this is the theme that it's throughout the whole series. I think it's all about that. It's, you can always persevere, and even when all the odds are against you, you can win. And I think that's growing up that was nice to see that. Like even you thought that, oh, it's impossible, they're doomed, but actually they're not.
That's an important lesson.
So that's a lesson from that.
Okay.
X-Files, if you haven't heard of that, it's a show about 2 FBI agents investigating cases dealing with paranormal or unexplained activity. I want to believe, as said by Agent Mulder, is the lesson I take from this. It was the first step in me believing in extraterrestrial life form, actually.
Oh, interesting. So that opened you up to the idea of potentially UFOs.
It made me think maybe, well, not UFOs, of actual aliens. UFOs exist. That doesn't mean anything.
Yes, unidentified.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yes. I know we used to think. Yes, I used to think that too. That a UFO meant aliens. It doesn't mean that though.
Usually back in the day when we were younger, they used to think that. It used to be synonymous for that.
Yeah, it used to. But just watching this show, even that opened my that showed me that sometimes things aren't what you seem. So, but there's a lot of lessons to learn from that. But that was just one.
Okay.
The next one is The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think everybody's heard of this, but just in case you haven't, it's a teenager played by Will Smith who's from the hood. He's actually sent to live with these wealthy relatives of his. And what I learned from that show is, even though you might not fit in with others, you still have something to bring to the table.
Oh,
so even though he's from this area and they didn't make as much money, and it's like, what could he teach these rich relatives of his? It actually was interesting watching the show, because as it went on, he was teaching them a lot, actually. He was teaching them how to, like, love and how to treat people with respect, stuff like that. So that's one of the lessons I learned from that. South Park. That's a cartoon. Nice. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Only a small episode, like minutes of episodes. Yeah, that wasn't my jam as growing up, yeah.
All right, but it became a huge thing, at least while I was in middle school. Yeah. And it's a cartoon that follows the adventures of 4 grade schoolers in South Park, Colorado. And they have some interesting adventures, to say the least. And a lot of interesting lessons. They're always trying to teach something. And this is not just about the violence and the laughter and comedy.
They talked a lot of smack in that show, though, didn't they?
Of course. They bring you in with the smack, but they actually keep you in with some other stuff. Okay. What I learned from that is that we might not all agree on things, but keeping it to ourselves will actually hinder progress. The show was very forward on the topics that they brought up, and they were not afraid to make people uncomfortable. They dealt with topics that were very taboo and controversial. Okay. And they kind of spinned it on its head. So I like that. They made, because most of the shows, they try to tippy-toe around a subject and they don't try to get into it. South Park took it head on. Gotcha. And I'm talking about like anything you could think about, they probably have addressed. Family Matters is my last one. Nice. And that show deals with the various misadventures of the Winslow family. Oh my. And these adventures usually are caused by the nerdy Steve Urkel. Yes. Oh, did I do that? Oh, wow. Right? That was, your impersonation was like spot on.
Whatever. Nailed it. Whatever. It was a moment. Yeah. Don't lose control.
You have some great powers of there.
You suck.
I'm impressed.
You suck.
Totally impressed.
Whatever, liar.
Oh, wow. And I learned from this show that being nerdy, it's not actually a bad thing. Even though Urkel caused trouble, I liked how he was able to like fix his messes, and he made some cool inventions that I said, I wish I could make some of that stuff. I think he made like a time machine or something.
His fashion choice was horrifying though.
Oh yeah, that is not a lesson I did. Yeah, do not dress I didn't take a lesson from that, but maybe that was somebody's lesson too. Don't dress like him.
Well, be yourself. Live your authentic truth.
Exactly. See? Yeah. A lot of lessons from that show as well.
Absolutely. Okay, I really love your smattering, and that is a very wide smattering.
A lot of different shows, right?
For sure. Okay, so we'll see. I think you'll get a kick out of mine. So, and similar to yours, no particular order, but first out of the gate would be Real monsters. And if you haven't watched that show, Ickis, Oblina, and Crumb are 3 young monsters who are supposed to learn the art of scaring at the Monster Academy. And it is essentially the show. For me, what I took from it was that the world is filled with things you can't explain, and some of it is scary, some of it is goofy, some of it is interesting. But for me, I loved that show growing up. I think you were a fan as well.
Oh yeah, I like that show, definitely. It was fun.
Yep, absolutely. Now the next one was The Munsters. If you were not aware of what that show is,
oh wow,
it's the family at 1313 Mockingbird Lane, where they're a family that's very different. The dad Herman looks like Frankenstein's monster. Mom Lily and her dad Grandpa are vampires. Their son Eddie is a werewolf, and then Marilyn, their niece, is the odd one out. She's just like a normal human blonde girl, and the family doesn't look alike. But what I learned from that is that essentially families don't have to look alike, and there still can be love and appreciation and caring, and also you can have more in common with each other even if you don't look alike. So that's what I learned from that, because for my own family, people look very different.
Wow, that's a
and
good
I
point.
always, people try to make you feel a certain kind of way about that, but like families don't have to look alike, and people can come from all different walks of life, and family is the people who stand by you, right? It's not always just biology. It's the people who are really there for you. So there's a lot of like really fun lessons there.
You just can't choose between family and marriage. Then that's the problem.
Well, yes. That's a tough scenario. That's a
tough cookie.
It's hard. So next one is Rugrats. If you are not aware of this amazing phenomenon of a show, it essentially reveals the world from a baby's point of view, and everything looks bigger and is more mysterious and uncontrollable. Angelica, my fave, was the oldest. She liked to terrorize her cousin Tommy and his friends, and is famous for screaming, "You stupid babies." I loved her. I thought her anger and vitriol behavior was everything. It was goals. She was goals.
So you learn how to be a monster from this show.
Yes. Loved Angelica. She was my favorite. And the adults in the series are often clueless, and I thought that's classic, because adults are typically clueless when it comes to their babies and the children around them. But my lesson from the show was that you will go on many adventures in life, and what's most important is what you learn on those adventures and who goes on those adventures with you. And I really admired the friendships with Tommy and Chucky and Dylan Lil. And again, even Angelica, as much as she was annoyed by those babies, she had so many adventures because of her cousin and his friends. So, I thought that was really cute and clever. Now, next would be 90210.
Wow.
And the original, y'all, we're taking it back. Yes, we are in our 30s. So we're not talking about the remake. We're talking about the original Beverly Hills 90210. Now, this series follows the lives of a group of friends living in the upscale and star-studded community of Beverly Hills, California. They transition from high school to college, and then into the adult world. I believe the show had 10 seasons. It was everything. It was a show that I cherish for the following reason. For me, the lesson learned in that show was that love is complicated and messy when you are not honest with yourself and with the people you're in relationships with. That lesson seemed to be played out in numerous different types of relationships, and whether that was a friendship, whether that was a romantic relationship, that honesty was everything. And whenever you were not honest, it created more drama. Similar to the show like Melrose Place, I believe, also took place during that time period and stuff like that. So just something to learn there. And then my last one is Xena, Warrior Princess. And if you're not...
That's amazing.
Yes, if you're not familiar with that show, Xena is a reformed warrior princess who travels around fighting evil. Her friend Gabrielle was a bard and friend and kept her company while she was helping her stay on the path of good. And I loved it because that show taught me that women are powerful, capable, and just like incredible at what they do, and that, we can essentially be unstoppable when we want to be. And I also admired the friendship between her and Gabrielle, because, when you have a sister behind you or a really good friend, you can do anything sometimes in life. So, those were my lessons learned there.
Okay. You got some good ones there. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Interesting smattering too. Yeah.
Yeah. You mixed it up.
You are listening to WokeNFree.
WokeNFree. WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
A podcast that is real and honest.
Now, what is your top 3 favorite childhood shows and why?
So this is really hard because for me, I didn't really have human friends. I had television friends. What do I mean by that? I had television, and then if I was not watching television, then I was doing homework, and then vice versa. Homework, television, television, homework. It was, didn't really have a lot of people to talk to. So I loved TV and I loved film, and to only choose 3 is really hard for me, but this is how I'm going to break it down. So first, out of the gate, Golden Girls. Their friendship to me was inspiring and deeply comforting. This show essentially follows 4 mature women who live in Miami and experience the joys and angst of their golden years, thus the Golden Girls. And you had like strong-willed Dorothy, which she was goals, she was everything. Spacey Rose, lusty Southern Belle Blanche, and then the matriarch Sophia. And essentially these women clashed. They made no sense together, but yet they made everything make it work. And they were hilarious. Some of the best writing on television has been made from this. In this show, you two watched it with me and was.
Well, I watched it with you. I never watched it on my own.
But
because I used to hear the theme song. I used to run actually.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for being a friend, is what he's referring to. Guys.
Yeah, I used to run. So, I saw that because the title doesn't make you know that it's going to be a funny show.
Travel down the road and back again.
Yeah, you would hear it and you think, oh, here we go. This is going to be just
love that
tired
show.
comedy.
Yes. That show was everything.
Different though.
Golden Girls was everything. So yeah, if you've never watched it, you need to watch it. That's amazing. Now next I would go to, and this may or may not surprise people, Goosebumps.
That was a good show, though, yeah. I remember that.
Everything, because there's nothing better than a scary show or a scary movie as a kid or an adult. And this was a live action series based around the R.L. Stine's award-winning book series. And I used to have some of the books. It breaks my heart. I don't believe I have them now. We're gonna have to get a whole collection for our son.
I've read almost all those books.
Yeah, see, I
there
definitely
may have been 2 that I haven't read.
I don't think I've read all of them, so I definitely can't wait to go through that with our son. And there was everything, guys. You had situations where you had haunted amusement parks, you had possessed Halloween masks, and just a myriad of bizarre and frightening scenarios that just for me, it just helped me continue to just fall in love with the genre of horror and spookiness and mystery that life is filled with. And even if it is mostly fictional, right? And it's really unlikely for any of those scenarios to happen. It opened your mind as a kid to be like, well, what if that could happen? And how would you respond? And would you be scared? And I just love the books. I love the show. It was phenomenal. And then lastly, I love Lucy. I love to laugh. I make myself laugh every single day because I think I'm hilarious.
That's good. At least you have a fan.
People who love me think I'm hilarious. And
you're your biggest fan, though. That's good.
100%. 100%. I'm all day cheering myself on. Could care less what the world is thinking. And for me, Lucille Ball was just magnetic. She was hilarious. She was beautiful. She was unforgettable. And, and to summarize the show a little bit, Lucy Ricardo is the, dynamic wife of Cuban band leader Ricky Ricardo. They lived in New York City. Ricky was, trying to succeed in his show business, while Lucy was always there trying to help, sometimes hinder. Because she had all these like wacky different things that she would get into. She was friends with their neighbor Ethel and Fred Mertz, and who are also their landlords. And it's a show that just again follows a married couple, young married couple, and just like what happens when you're in entertainment, when you have an uncontrollable spouse, and who doesn't, and you laugh, you cry, Lucy was everything. I love Lucy was everything. So those are my 3. That was really hard to narrow it down though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm gonna narrow it down, but I usually don't have favorites of things, so I just gonna list things that I definitely like, and
okay.
I guess I got really involved in these shows, meaning I probably purchased some paraphernalia from the shows, or
nice.
based around it.
Okay.
Like shirts and posters,
absolutely.
That kind of stuff.
You became a fanboy. Nice.
I mean, not to that degree. I wouldn't say all that. I couldn't go that far. I didn't go that crazy. But
okay.
I will admit these were things. Oh, man, yeah, it's hard when nailing it down to 3, but I'll just, it's these 3, but technically, alright, the last one's kind of interesting, alright, but I'll start it off. The first one is Power Rangers, And that's a show about teenagers fighting off monsters. And
so good.
as a child, I watched these kids become skilled martial artists who then pilot these huge, large robots. And at the time, that was just really cool. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It just seemed
super
like,
cool.
all right, I'm in school, but now I'm fighting all the bad guys off and I'm helping save the planet. Like
Power
that to
Rangers
me,
is everything.
that's just like a cool idea. Like, wow, I'm the defender of the planet. Like, I'm just a kid.
And your
that
favorite
was so
one
cool
was
to me.
which color?
Well, it was the Green Ranger at first, then the White Ranger.
Then the White Ranger. Yeah, the White Ranger's pretty cool.
Because he was so powerful. The Green Ranger
pink.
was powerful.
I love Pink Ranger. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Super cute. Super
Of course
fashionable.
that's her.
Super fabulous.
That's understandable.
Yep.
And my second one is Dragon Ball Z, which I mentioned earlier. And it's because the action scenes were just over the top. Like,
okay.
they would do, so when they have battles, they would be moving so fast, they become invisible.
Oh, wow.
And they're moving faster than the speed of light. And it was just crazy. How are these people that fast? They're faster than the speed of light. And these are humans doing this? That's too amazing. I also like that you could actually follow the stats of each character at certain points in the show. So you could know, all right, this guy's more powerful than them.
Oh, wow.
He's more powerful than that thing.
They listed that in the show? Or
yeah, they would talk about
okay.
it. So it's almost like how people have stats on your favorite basketball player or something.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're like,
okay.
there was a
I
level
didn't watch a
that
lot of
everybody got
Dragon Ball.
designated a level. Like people were kind of ranked and there was ways to follow that. So I would talk about that with my friend. They came to me, because I knew all the levels. So they'd be like, hey,
That's
do you
intense.
think this person could be that person? I'm like, no, they can't
And it
because he's
changed
at this
every week,
number.
or?
Not every week, but as the episodes go on, the levels don't stay the same. And there's numbers for the levels, and I had that memorized.
That's intense.
I knew, as the show went
That's
on, I'm
really
like, all right, we're at
intense.
this point. And then I would say I was a really fan of this because I used to watch this in Spanish.
Muy bueno.
And that's where I learned my favorite phrase.
Which is?
No puede ser.
Okay.
It can't be.
Okay.
That's all they said on it.
Okay.
That's all they said.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
It did. I think Hilly was saying it too. He used to watch it with me. He tried to learn Spanish. We were learning Spanish. It was really a good influence.
Muy
Look,
bueno.
you like the show
I'm
enough, you learn
surprised you didn't
Spanish.
say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though, because of how much you love.
I know that.
Love.
Yeah, so the last one,
Turtles.
it's a toss-up between Turtles and X-Men, the animated series. Because I loved X-Men. It's I loved that theme. It would come on, and I had to be
So happy.
right there
Yeah.
at the screen. I couldn't miss a moment of it.
Aw.
But Turtles I love too, though. I
You
did.
really love
That's
this
why
movie.
it's hard to just
Yeah.
list three, because I think
It's so hard.
of the shows I
So
listed,
hard.
I have to list those. So it's like a toss-up between. But I did
Okay.
love Turtles. But I don't know. I think of that as the younger years.
Okay.
These shows kind of moved a little bit past that. I guess Power Rangers I only watched
In junior high? Or?
Yeah, I don't think I
Okay.
don't. Once I was in high school, I was over Power Rangers, and I was over Turtles. I wasn't watching that then.
Okay.
But X-Men was a little. I still liked
Was it
X-Men
still in
stuff.
it? Okay.
Yeah, I still wanted to see what was going on in any new X-Men based shows. Yeah, but X-Men is really cool because it's a cartoon based off the Marvel comics where the humans get special powers and they're called mutants, actually. I loved waking up, like I said, and watching this on Saturday mornings. It was just...
They did have,
The theme song
Great
came
theme,
on and I knew
yeah.
it was time. I'm gonna watch my
you were
X-Men.
in it to
and-
win it. Nice.
Yeah, that was my jam, though. And
Okay.
I think it was interesting seeing what the new mutants would be in each of the episodes, and then just watching the conflict between mutants and humans, because it kind of
Definitely.
paralleled the social issues that were going on
God,
in the
yeah.
day.
God, yeah. Absolutely.
It was, or even
well,
even
human
now.
beings really struggle with anything that's
different. Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Liam wants to do a tribute to his favorite TV show for teaching him how to live life virtuously. He wants to gather a group of people at the next Comic-Con and perform the special move of the most popular character from the show. How can he get people to help him with this tribute?
What an odd question.
Yeah, is this happen to be based off of some real scenario that's happened in life?
Probably, knowing you. What a bizarre thing to ask.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
I mean, probably he should go to social media. He should go to his friends and family network and see if he can garner up people who are just as possessed or obsessed.
Possessed by the spirit.
Yes, the spirit of the show, as he is. And I'm sure there are, I mean, especially at an event like this, where there are people who are just, super, super fanatical about different shows and characters that they love. And so he probably even should have a sign up form, maybe that he could post around the arena if this is an in-person type of an event, or again online, and get some type of sign up, maybe create a small website to share that out and, get people together. But essentially it's going to be based on what the messaging is going to be to attract the people to do this. And then, hopefully it's just going to be for the love of the character, but he might have to incentivize them with cash.
Oh, wow. You think?
But it depends. Some people only want to do things for money now. It's really hard.
Okay.
But I think he definitely can get a smattering of people who'd be interested to jump around and do whatever he wants. And then also, speak with whatever people you need to from a liability perspective. So that, because I don't know how involved and how dangerous this move is. So I don't, my mind goes to risk issues. Is there fire involved? Are there tigers?
All right. I mean, wow. I didn't think about all that, but I think the best way to do it is there is some social media aspect to it, but I have very specific steps that he can take. I don't know if it's going to work, but this is just my suggestion. I think he should dress up as that character that's going to be doing the move.
That's healthy.
And I think he should post pictures of him doing that move to social media every day on all the platforms.
Correct.
And then also I think he needs to share that with the creators of the show.
Correct.
And say, we need to do this at the next Comic-Con. Yep. And get all the fans involved.
They're going to be like, look, block him. Yep.
Keep doing it though every day. And doing the same move from different angles, take different shots of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do different filters, just the whole
be a
nine.
Lunatic, yeah.
This is just the suggestion I'm giving. You want this to go down at Comic-Con. This is a good suggestion to take.
Or prison. I don't know.
No, I mean, it's about doing stuff that you don't normally do. I mean, do people dress up as their favorite character every day and go to work like that?
Potentially.
And do they go pick up the groceries like that too?
Potentially. Depends on what town you live in and what time of the day we're talking.
That's very interesting if people have done that. I don't know. I'd really want to know if someone's done cosplay and gone to the grocery store.
I don't imagine, Khalil, I'm in the supermarket and I turn around and I see Goku. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. This is outrageous.
But what if you see the alien creature, the creature from Aliens?
No, absolutely.
You see someone dressed up like that because people dress up like that.
If I can move so he can get an apple. Nope, not today. Absolutely,
I think that's illegal in some places.
Yeah, that's
crazy. If it's not Halloween for you to dress up and go into public establishments,
or Pennywise walks in. Come on, man! Walks into Harbor Freight.
That'd be funny.
Man. This is outrageous.
It'd be interesting, but
it all floats down here. Nope.
Okay, you say so. Scenario 2. Adelie watched a lot of violent TV shows as a child. She went on to become a renowned kickboxer in the U.S. Do you think her TV shows helped her achieve this success?
So that's, again, a very interesting question. I watch a lot of violent and adult content as well. However, I did not grow up to be how do I say this? A
master of physical punishment?
Correct. Or, I know I can't say it that way.
That's still too much?
No, I was just going to say.
It has to be nicer?
I was going to say I watch a lot of like sexual oriented content and I didn't grow up to be in the sex industry or something. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's a 1-for-1. So watching a lot of Michael Myers, I didn't grow up to be a killer. I didn't, I just think that you have to be careful about the 1-for-1 situation. It's not, I watched this, so I became this. Or so with this situation, watching violent TV show, did that then make Adelie more prolific to wanting to have a career that is more violent in nature? Not necessarily, but could it have influenced this person's decision? Potentially. So I think it's not a 1-for-1, but it definitely potentially could say, because it depends. What type of violent content did Adelie watch? Did Adelie watch stuff where the people in the films or the shows were kicking a lot? Were they punching a lot? What was the violence? So I would say you'd need more information to understand it. But could it be an influence? Maybe, but I don't think it's a direct cause.
All right. That's a good point. I mean, I'm just taking a guess there. I think it helped her achieve the success is what I would go with. I just could take a guess there.
Okay.
She watched all this violence. Maybe she wanted to defend herself, so she became a better kickboxer to do it. I don't know.
Okay.
It could have been a defense mechanism. She was like, I don't want this violence to ever happen to me. now I'm going to be the best kickboxer there ever was kind
Gotcha.
of thing. So I think it could have influenced her. I think it might have.
That's hilarious.
I don't know.
It's up in the air.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I don't want to go down the route of saying if you watch violence, you're going to go on to be a violent person.
Yeah, I think that's dangerous. But there is a potential. Yeah.
I'm saying in this scenario, it's that she watched a lot, so it's going over the top.
Now, you know what I would say is if you said Adelaide grew up in a household with like domestic violence and she was like someone beat her behind all the time.
That's a different episode.
That to me is like, like violence begets violence.
That scenario would not be on this episode.
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely different times there. Scenario 3. Shateva's parents thought she watched too much TV when she was a youngster. She is currently a TV show producer with one of the most watched shows on a large streaming provider. Do you agree with her parents that she watched too much TV as a child?
So I think it's interesting if parents have the complaint of your child watches too much TV because it's like, who's in control of that? The child doesn't pay the mortgage or the rent, nor does the child pay for the electricity bill. If you want to prevent or modify your child's behavior, then that's on you, the parent, to do something about it. And in this case, if Shateva is a very successful person as a TV show producer, one could argue, right, that maybe that influence of watching TV helped Shateva go on to be involved in the industry, and then also by having so much exposure to that content, learn what works, what doesn't work. It doesn't have to be a direct cause, but it definitely could be an influence here. And I know for myself included, I've always been interested in wanting to do things in entertainment because of how much connection I had to entertainment in my own childhood. So, I think that the parents, like, probably, like, if they regret what they did at the end of the day, if she's happy with who she is as an adult now, like, you can't cry over spilled milk. And, Shateva is successful and hopefully happy. So get over it.
All right. You tell them to get over it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
And I pretty much agree. I disagree with the parents that said that she watched too much TV. I don't know. I don't think she did, because I'm just going by that final outcome of her being the TV show producer. Now, if she became somebody who lives on the street, I don't know. That might be different.
Careful. Yes.
But I'm saying if she made the decision that I should live on the streets and only watch TV in an electronic provider store. Just think about that. Then she watched too much TV if she only wants to go around to electronic stores watching the TV in there.
Something's wrong with you.
That's different. That's a different lifestyle.
Different. He said if she became a nomad, uses other people's electricity to consume. What kind of shows are you watching in electric?
She's watching whatever it gets on there when they do those.
Goodness.
They show the landscape and the flowers and all the colors you get in 8K, that kind of stuff. If she does that, but then then most people would say she may have watched too much TV because now she thinks TV is the world and all you need to do is watch TV for survival.
I'm so through.
That's the only thing I'm going to say about it. Is that she's not doing that. She's actually making the shows, so the parents are wrong in this case.
The parents need to sit down and move on.
Yeah, see? So we agree.
Good stuff, and we are at that time again, thank God. It is coming to the end of our 195th episode of Woke and Free. Quite the episode discussing 10 life lessons from childhood shows. Will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we are discussing, would you ever change your career? Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for Woke and Free Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you want to be a guest on the show, as you know, we are expecting our son soon, very, very soon. So we are definitely not taking submissions for guests until earliest would be fall. But still, feel free to hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com. That is WokenFree.com. Hit us up on social media to chat and obviously consume our content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn at Woke and Free. And then, of course, all sponsorships and collaboration inquiries should go through our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode. And make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for Woke and Free Wednesdays. Remember, Woke and Free is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.